I've been video crazy today. Well, it's because I was off work and I wasn't supposed to be. I mentioned that on my other channel. And just because a lot of stuff was going on today, and so I figured for the first time I think ever, I'm doing two videos on this channel the same day. So congratulations to me for that. My other channel hit 2,000 subs today, and then it dropped back below 2,000 subs, so I look like a liar. But congratulations to me on that. Um, but let's discuss Resident Evil. Now, Part 7 came out this week. I haven't seen reviews for it. I'm staying away from spoilers. Yeah, I know. I'm I'm well aware of how bad they generally are, but what I've been doing this weekend, I watched the first one and the second one, so Resident Evil and Resident Evil Apocalypse with my fiance with Yvonne, and I picked up on the good and the bad watching the back to back. In that the first movie, Alice is kind of clueless and kind of just staggering around, just there. And then she magically is a superhero. She's magically a superhero in the second week, or the second movie. The uh, the reality is that, um, wait, sorry, my phone. Um, the reality is that the movies, they try to create a personal connection between characters that doesn't make any sense. They're not in situations where personal connections can be made. The perceived romance between Carlos and Alice, which is sort of hinted at the end of the second movie, and then I know, and I haven't got to the third movie to rewatch that yet, and I know it's bad in the third movie. Or I guess this is part 6 that's out, the final chapter. I lose track of how many there's been because the titles don't make any sense. Apocalypse, Extinction, Afterlife, Retribution, and now the final chapter. And I don't. And the funniest part being, Alice is apparently racing to save humanity. Humanity's dead. Humanity died in the third part. Spoilers. Yeah, spoilers. Humanity's dead in the third part. The oceans dry up in the third part, and then in the fourth part, there's oceans because, of course, there are. And yeah, fifth part starts in the water because, of course, it does. And she spends the fourth movie trying to find people that in the fifth movie she doesn't care whether or not she found them. Okay, okay, all right, all right. The funny thing is, I like these movies. I enjoy them. Honestly, I enjoy them. I enjoy Jill Valentine for what she is in the second movie, which is pointless but pretty. Uh, Genuinely, she's pointless but pretty. And Carlos, you're supposed to feel for Nikolai, I guess, and Oleg. I think Oleg was the other. It doesn't really matter. They die. They all die, and you're supposed to feel for them, I guess. And they don't explain why there's stars soldiers that are Russians. I understand it would be explained in the video games. I'm just saying that for people who are watching the movie, they'd be going, "Why are there Russians?" And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Um, the dogs aren't really explained. The one thing that's always sort of thrown me off with Resident Evil is why only dogs? Think about it. If the T virus affects all animals, wouldn't there be like squirrels and raccoons, mad chickens? I want to see that movie. I think looking at movies that take that ridiculousness seriously, a movie like Black Sheep comes to mind. Black Sheep was this fantastic, wonderful movie that was funny and a horror movie, and it really got into the disturbing side of what could happen with sheep. And it asked a lot of questions you didn't want the movie to ask, and then it answered them when you really didn't want the answer. Resident Evil doesn't. It gives you the answers to questions you didn't ask that it didn't ask, and it doesn't explain the answers to you. And and it's funny because, as I said, I enjoy these movies. I enjoy Resident Evil. I find it fun. They're not scary. I know before Ron started watching them, I know she kind of had this. So they're zombie movies, and I said the zombies really don't play into the movie at all, past the first one. And the second one reminded me of that. And I think what got me was that the zombies disappear for long portions of the movie, and then all of a sudden, horde. It's just all of a sudden, even though the the outbreak was supposed to have happened relatively recently, so they shouldn't be hoarding up yet. They should be shambling about. And the other part that got me was having watched part 1 and 2 within 24 hours of each other. Part 1, they're all slow moving zombies. Part 2, they're not. They kind of shamble. They kind of got this like Michael Jackson Thriller vibe going on, and I have no problem with the Michael Jackson Thriller vibe. I think it's fantastic for zombies to do that. But it's still the T-virus. It's sort of like how in part 4 there are those zombies that their faces open up and then they swallow people whole. They don't explain that either. There's no shock. You don't see Alice in the fourth movie going, their faces opened up. No, she's just, I, that's different. So, who's getting eaten next? Not me, I'm Neo. I refer to her as the Neo of Resident Evil, and I think that's why a lot of people resent Alice. I understand the problem. When the original Resident Evil movie was written, it was written basically to mirror the first video game, and Capcom said no. Capcom didn't want Jill in it. They didn't want Leon in it. They didn't want Chris or Claire in it. They wanted something different. So when people get mad at Alice, the character, I get it, but it's not the director's fault. It's not Milla Jovovich's fault. It's what Capcom wanted something that wasn't based on a video game. And then as the movies went along, they add in Leon and Claire and Chris and Jill anyway. So I'm not sure I understand the point other than to piss off the people who played the video games. The other point I want to make is as baffling and as weird and stupid as the movies can be, video games can be just as bad. The difference between playing a Resident Evil video game and watching a Resident Evil movie is you're not in the movie. You're not emotionally invested in it. When the axe guy shows up in the video game, you're terrified. When he shows up in the movie, your reaction is, wait, how, what, why? Why is he, why, who sent him? Why is he there? Why? What would he be going to a prison for? How did he get those scissor things in his face? How does that work? You don't think about it in a video game. You just go, that's a really cool sprite. That's a really cool render. That's a really cool villain. You don't think, and in a movie, movies have to kind of logically explain things, and Resident Evil doesn't logically explain anything. They just, here it is. They throw it at the screen. Nemesis is a good example of that. I have somewhere around here, I have my Nemesis. He's cute. I like my little Nemesis guy. He's downstairs. But I've got my little Nemesis Funko Pop action figure, and I like him. And in the movie, they get it right. They get his look right. They get his weapons right. They get everything right. It doesn't make any sense. I think for me the flaw with the Resident Evil movies is that you can only watch them as standalones. So watching them back to back is maddening. And I'm gonna continue to put myself through this madness. And when I finish the last movie, I will allow myself to go see the new one if it's still in the theater. But the madness for me is that each movie contradicts the last. It's like it's a brand new video game when you start the next movie. The problem is the characters are still the same. If Alice was in the first one, and then Alice was in the third one, but she wasn't in the second one, I think you have a better series. Just make it about Jill. So the first movie could have been Alice, the second movie could have been Jill, the third movie could have Alice meeting up with Jill, and then throw Claire in. Make the fourth movie about Claire. Claire goes off on her own at the end of that movie looking for Chris, and then in the fifth movie they all come together to set up the sixth, which is the big final chapter, and they're all fighting as one homogenous group. However, just from watching the trailer, it's like it's all Alice. And Claire Redfield is the only character portrayed by Ali Larter where I thought Ali Larter looks insanely hot. I don't find Ali Larter particularly attractive. She's okay. And then she dresses up as Claire Redfield and she gets the hair color done and puts on the army clothes and done. Marrying material. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me, but I never found her particularly attractive. And then there's that scene in Extinction where she points the gun and there's the one shot, you know, the where she pulls the gun back and shoots it, and it's the hero shot. She's got the sunglasses on, and you know, the hat. She just looks fantastic and gorgeous. And there's just something about that shot. And the movie's all about that. All the movies are all about that. They're all about the aesthetics and the look and the feel, and the actual movie is a little meandering. Am I the only one that loves and hates these movies at the same time? Let me know in the comments below what you think. I'll probably post another video after I watch parts 3, 4, and 5. I don't know if I'll post one after part 3, or 3 and 4, or 3, 4, and 5, or what. But there's a lot to love and hate here. They know how to shoot a movie. They know how to make a movie look good. Every movie looks fantastic, and they feel completely different. Cohesiveness, there's problems. There's problems. Real problems. In order for gluing each scene to each other, they seem to be using oatmeal, because it just doesn't. It doesn't. But let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're just browsing your way through. I apologize for not including as many movie reviews lately as I had been before, but things have been kind of crazy, and I'm going to be doing more movie and TV stuff from here going forward. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all again soon.